I want to give another case study. I just want to share an example of someone named Martha who worked with me, and she was in her late 40s, and she developed fibromyalgia and irritable bowel. And she'd been a really high energy output system, going for it person for most of her life, and started to get sick after she actually had a gastrointestinal illness and then a trauma, and then things started to unravel. Um, and, initially we just worked with simple self-regulation, quieting the mind, quieting the body. And as she did that, she started to realize and notice all the negative talking she was doing and the judgment that she was doing towards herself. So we started to think about mindset and talk through, okay, how do you work with the judgmental voices? How do you work with the part of you believes that you're not worthy, that you can't improve, that you can't change? How do you work with the voice inside that catastrophizes and every time you feel pain thinks about the whole story about how you're never going to be able to do stuff again, you're never going to be able to heal or get better, and oh my gosh, what's going to happen to you and your relation to your... That's where she was at. So we had to work through those things and talk through various techniques to help her choose a different mindset and learn to stop those negative thoughts. She learned mindfulness meditation, which, like I talked about, is really about becoming present and letting those thoughts come and letting them go, and actually meeting the emotional place underneath those thoughts, which was a painful place. And she discovered some difficult underlying anxiety that she'd been dealing with for many years, and learned to mobilize her own heart to work with that anxiety. She also did some psychotherapy on the side to work with that anxiety and those underlying beliefs that she had about herself. So through all of that, she's quieting all of that activated, amplified, fight, flight, danger response, quieting her body. She got involved in doing gentle hatha yoga because that worked for her and her worldview. And she got into her body and stretching it and learning how to open up her tissues and her joints and learning how to deal with, what happens when a fibromyalgia flare starts to happen because something stressful, the weather changes, or because she gets a cold or something went on. So she developed a kind of resilience for learning how to be aware and involved in what's going on in her inner world, her thoughts, her emotions, her bodily experience. And she had developed these tools for working with all that stuff. And so she was off to the races, and she's down the road, and she's going down the road working with all of this stuff, and so much more capable and able to deal with the challenges that come up. I checked something called an FIQR, which is a measure of how fibromyalgia is impacting someone, and her scores got, I think, 65% better, which translated into she was functional again. She still had some pain. She had bad days. She had stuff she's still working on, but she was so much better just from transforming her inner experience, her mind-body experience, and her body-mind experience.